You think you're making smart investments? Maybe you're being deceived, not by someone else, but by the very things you believe are your assets. Gold, real estate, jewelry, helping family. They're not building your wealth. They're silently dragging you down, day by day. Robert only wanted to help his brother-in-law. The result? He lost $28,000, lost the family relationship, and never got a dime back. And the worst part? You don't even realize you're walking into the same trap until it's too late. What are the 7 assets that look smart, but are actually making you poorer every single day? Watch until the end of this video. This might just change your financial life. Have you ever wondered why the wealthy seem to be playing a completely different financial game? It's not just that they play differently. It's that they're following a secret playbook, a strategy most of us were never shown. Today, I'm going to open the first few pages of that playbook and reveal 7 types of assets that look smart, but are quietly making you poorer one day at a time. These aren't exotic or complicated investments. In fact, they're the exact ones you've probably been told to trust. Financial advisors recommend them. Family believes in them. You might even own some of them right now. There's a quote from Warren Buffett that stayed with me, a man respected by every serious investor on the planet. What the wise do in the beginning, the fool does in the end. While most people rush into popular investments, the truly wealthy avoid them like the plague. The financial industry will never tell you this, because these are the very products that make them rich. Each item on this list represents a dangerous misconception, a gap between what people think will make them rich and how real wealth is actually built. And the final asset I'll share with you, it's the most dangerous of them all. It blends emotion with money, charm with destruction. It's the razor-thin line between financial freedom and years of silent struggle with no way out. The first asset we need to reassess. Real estate as a sure win. Investment, you've heard it before, haven't you? Buy land, buy a house, you'll never lose. Maybe your father told you that. Maybe your neighbors repeat it at every weekend barbecue. Even your financial advisor might nod in agreement. But there's a dangerous illusion hiding beneath that seemingly foolproof advice. If the property you own isn't putting money in your pocket each month, it's not an asset. It's a golden financial anchor weighing you down. Pause for a moment and be honest with yourself. Have you ever been taught that real estate always goes up in value? That simply buying property is a guaranteed win? The reality is this. The average American spends over $9,000 a year on the hidden costs of owning real estate. Maintenance, taxes, insurance, HOA fees, not to mention mortgage interest. Let's look at a real-world example. Robert Kiyosaki, author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, put it simply, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out. Too many people buy a home thinking they're investing. But instead of generating income, the house bleeds them financially every single month. And they don't realize it because society keeps calling it an asset. I used to believe I was doing the right thing. Buying real estate. Wasn't that supposed to be the surest path to wealth? My father believed it. My neighbors did too. Even my financial advisor smiled in approval. But then one day, I saw the truth behind the shiny surface of these smart investments. Here's the hard truth. If the property isn't generating positive cash flow each month, it's not an asset. It's a debt wrapped in gold. We often don't see it that way because we get emotionally attached to the idea of the dream home or feel secure simply owning land. But take a step back and really think. Over the course of a decade, the average American will spend more than $90,000 just to keep a house through taxes, insurance, repairs, HOA dues, and that's before even factoring in mortgage payments. I learned this the hard way after a conversation with Mike, a friend from Chicago. He bought a mountain cabin, thinking it was a smart investment. 5 years later, he had poured over $50,000 into repairs, taxes, and surprise expenses. Meanwhile, one of Mike's co-workers, Sarah, spent a similar amount, but put it into a small rental apartment. After all expenses, she earned $600 in monthly cash flow. Here's the difference. Sarah's real estate pays her. Mike has to pay just to keep his asset. That's the mindset shift the wealthy understand. They don't buy real estate based on emotion or old advice. They only buy when the cash flow is positive, even after calculating everything: mortgage payments, taxes, insurance, maintenance, management fees, and the risk of vacancies. If there's still monthly profit left over, then it's an investment worth considering. Platforms like Roofstock or Fundrise are helping thousands of Americans invest in income-generating properties without emotional attachment. And if you're thinking, but what about my dream vacation home? The answer is simple. Build a profitable investment portfolio first. Then use the cash flow from it to fund your dream. That's smart investing, letting your money finance your dreams, not letting your dreams drain your wallet. But that's just the beginning, because there's another financial decision quietly draining your wealth. Even though you might believe it's the safest move of all, putting your money into a savings account. Great. You're starting to dismantle the sweet but silent financial traps that quietly bleed your wallet year after year. And if you've always believed that saving money in a traditional bank account is the safest thing to do, then maybe it's time to hear this with a fresh mindset. What's the problem? Let's do a simple calculation. If you save $10,000 a year for 5 years at an interest rate of 0.4%, you'd earn just about $200 in interest. But during that same period, with average inflation at 3% per year, your money would lose over $1,500 in real value. Technically, you're not saving, you're slowly getting poorer, just in a very polite way. It sounds harsh, but this is the truth millions of Americans live with every day. Not because they're careless, but because they're doing exactly what an entire generation taught them: save for retirement. But in a world where your dollars lose value the moment you wake up, saving alone is no longer enough. It needs to move. It needs to work. So what makes this situation urgent? Every dollar sitting idle in a low-yield savings account is a soldier locked in a cage, powerless. Instead of helping you build wealth, it's helping the bank get richer. Because while you're getting 0.4%, the bank is loaning out your money at 10% to 20%. Now tell me, who's really making the money here? Look at Janet's story in Portland. She kept $50,000 in a traditional savings account for 10 years, believing it was the safe thing to do. The result? She lost over $15,000 in purchasing power to inflation. Meanwhile, her brother Tom simply moved his savings into a high-yield account earning 4.5%. Both accounts were FDIC insured. Both were safe, but the outcome? Worlds apart. So where's the solution? It's time to move your money into smarter channels, like high-yield savings accounts or money market accounts. Many online platforms like Ally, Capital One, or Marcus by Goldman Sachs are now offering 4% to 5% returns with the same level of security. For longer-term savings, you might consider I-bonds, government-backed bonds that automatically adjust for inflation. Your money deserves better than a pathetic return. It deserves to be respected. You worked hard for every dollar. Don't let them quietly lose value while your bank profits. Take 30 minutes this week to open a new account. This small step could save you thousands in the coming years. And before I share the next financial trap that's costing millions without them even knowing it, I want to ask you something. Do you feel like something inside you just woke up after reading this? If so, drop a comment below that says open mind. I read every single one, and I genuinely want to know what shifted your perspective. Now, let's talk about a shiny reward that many believe they've earned after years of hard work. That brand new car in the showroom. But is it truly a reward? Or just another financial trap waiting in disguise? You probably remember the story about how putting money into a savings account felt safe, but was, in reality, a sweet little trap slowly draining your wealth. So let me tell you another truth. This time about that shiny new car you've been dreaming of, the one that feels like a well-deserved prize after decades of effort. Sounds fair, right? But sometimes the things labeled as rewards come with the highest hidden cost. No one puts it on a billboard. Buying a brand new car when you're approaching retirement isn't a reward. It's a cleverly disguised financial trap. But numbers don't lie. On average, a new car loses 15 to 20% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. 5 years later, nearly half its value vanishes, without so much as a goodbye. Picture this. You spend $50,000 on a sparkling new SUV. 5 years later, if you're lucky, you might sell it for around $22,000. That's a $28,000 loss for something you barely got to enjoy. Sound familiar? I know the feeling because I almost fell into that same trap myself. What makes this loss even more painful, especially for those over 40, is the opportunity cost. That same money, had it been invested conservatively with a 7% return, could have grown to over $55,000 in 10 years. No extra work, just letting your money do the heavy lifting. Take Jim from Texas. For example, instead of buying a brand new vehicle, he went for the same model, just 2 years old, still under warranty, and priced at $35,000. He instantly saved $15,000 and let that money continue working for him. 5 years later, both cars are worth about the same, but Jim still has an investment steadily growing in the background. So let me ask you, is that new car smell really worth trading away tens of thousands of dollars that could have brought peace of mind in retirement? Or is it wiser to go with a smarter option, like a 2 to 3 year old vehicle with low mileage, full warranty, and a much gentler price tag? You can use tools like Carfax or have a trusted mechanic inspect the car before buying to make sure it's in great shape. And if you're someone who genuinely prefers to change cars every few years, leasing might be worth considering. Not the most financially optimal route, but at least it helps you dodge the brutal initial depreciation. Remember this, financial freedom doesn't come from owning the flashiest things. It comes from knowing every dollar you've earned is quietly working for you, not slipping away every time you turn the steering wheel. But if you think buying a car is the worst investment you can make, just wait until I tell you about an even bigger mistake, starting a business without a clear exit. Asset number 4 is waiting for you. I know that feeling. After decades of pouring yourself into someone else's dream, you start asking, when is it my turn? You're tired of working for someone else. You want to be your own boss. Open a little shop, a family-run business, something that carries your name. It sounds ideal, doesn't it? Like a golden ticket to ultimate freedom. But reality never shows up on the glossy brochures from those motivational seminars. Here's the truth. Owning a business only brings freedom if it can run without you being there every second. Let me ask you, have you ever met a small business owner who looked more stressed, more exhausted than when they were working a 9 to 5? If you have, then you get it. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 20% of small businesses fail within the first year. By year 5, that number jumps to 50%. But scarier than those numbers is the trap most people don't even see. Even when the business succeeds, it can still turn into an all-consuming job. The only difference is, now you have a fancier title on your business card. Look at Maria. She was once a marketing executive at a major corporation, but walked away from it all to pursue her dream of opening a bakery. 5 years later, her bakery is a neighborhood favorite. But she hasn't had a single day off in 3 years. She works over 70 hours a week. Family dinners? Rare. And when they do happen, they're often interrupted by calls from customers or staff. On paper, she's successful. But in real life, she's being devoured by the very dream she chased. Now, compare that to David. He also started from scratch, but instead of diving in headfirst, he built a property management company with systems in place from day one. He hired key staff and created detailed workflows for everything, from client onboarding and paperwork to financial management. Today, he spends 2 months a year traveling with his family, while the business continues to run smoothly and profitably. So what's the difference? Maria built a job. David built a system. One owns the cake. The other owns the oven. If you're thinking about starting your own business, here's the most honest advice I can give. Before you even open your doors, sit down and map out the 3 core functions of your business: operations, sales/marketing, and financial management. For each area, design a process you can delegate from day one. Don't wait until you're overwhelmed to think about systems, because by then, you've already become a slave to your own dream. You want real freedom? Start by building a business that doesn't need you to survive. Otherwise, you're just swapping handcuffs for a nicer suit. When I first started building my own business, I learned something crucial. If I couldn't step away for 2 weeks and have everything still run smoothly, I wasn't truly in control. I had simply created a business disguise for a new job. So what did I start? I broke my business down into three clear categories: operations, sales, and finance. Each had its own process I could either delegate or automate from day one. For example, in operations, onboarding new clients, I used Calendly to schedule meetings automatically. Sales? I used MailChimp to send a welcome email sequence to prospects. For finances, QuickBooks tracked invoices and expenses. For internal documentation and process tracking, I relied on Notion, clean, intuitive, and easy to manage. All of this helped me escape the trap of "it only works if I'm there." Want your business to run without you hovering over it? Read The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber and Built to Sell by John Warlow. These books won't just teach you how to build a real company. They'll help you design a business model that can stand on its own 2 feet. Because if a short vacation is enough to throw your entire business into chaos, then you're not running a company. You're living inside a golden cage you built yourself. True freedom is when the money keeps flowing even when you're not at your desk, when you're sitting by the ocean, sharing stories with the people you love. That's when you're finally living. But if you think that was the only trap, hold on. Let me tell you about a more sophisticated one. A trap disguised behind 2 reassuring words: insurance and investment. What I'm talking about is something called whole life insurance. Sounds appealing, doesn't it? A product that promises both protection and investment. But beneath that shiny surface lies a financial snare that's far harder to escape. Let's look at the numbers. A 45-year-old man wants $500,000 in life insurance coverage. If he opts for term life insurance, he'll pay around $400 a year. But if he chooses whole life insurance instead, that premium can jump to $4,000 a year, 10 times as much. And most painful part, when you pass away, your family only receives the death benefit. The cash value, that accumulation you've been building for years, it stays with the insurance company. Yes, you heard that right. That money doesn't go to your spouse, your children, or your estate. It becomes a generous gift to the insurer, not a legacy you leave behind. Maybe someone once told you this was a safe investment with guaranteed returns. But few ever tell the whole truth. Compared to something as simple as investing in an index fund like the S&P 500, the return from whole life insurance are dishearteningly low. Warren Buffett once said, "Be careful when you invest in something you don't understand." And I wish I had taken that advice sooner. I still remember the subtle shock I felt the first time I sat down and read my whole life policy thoroughly. What seemed like clear language was riddled with fine print, so convoluted that even a law professor would struggle to make sense of it. What stunned me the most, even after paying sky-high premiums for decades, my family would only receive the death benefit. All that cash value I had painstakingly accumulated, gone, permanently claimed by the insurance company. It reminded me of Paul's story in Michigan. He paid $650 a month for a whole life policy for 20 years. That's $156,000 in total premiums. And yet, when he checked the surrender value of the policy, it was $98,000. Meanwhile, his twin brother Mark chose a different path. He bought a simple term life policy for about $50 a month and invested the remaining $600 into an S&P 500 index fund. 2 decades later, that investment had grown to over $380,000. Same life insurance coverage, but Mark had nearly 4 times the wealth. I know, not everyone is passionate about numbers or investing, but this story isn't just about money. It's a hard-earned lesson about clarity and control over your financial future. Take a moment and ask yourself, if you have a whole life policy right now, do you know exactly how much you're paying in fees? Do you truly understand how the cash value component works? Here's the truth. Nearly every financial expert I've studied, people like Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey, steer clear of this overly complicated product. They recommend a simple strategy. Buy term insurance for 20 to 30 years, just long enough to get through your debt and dependency years. Then invest the difference in low-cost index funds, or ETFs. Why? Because it gives you control. It offers stronger potential for growth, lower fees, and full transparency. Number 300-page contract. No hidden clauses. No fine print you need a legal team to decipher. We're now past the halfway mark of this list of so-called smart assets, which are often nothing more than financial traps cloaked in persuasive marketing. And I can't help but wonder, have you ever fallen into one? Was a life insurance policy someone close to you swore by? Or a can't-lose investment property that never delivered? Share your story, because a painful lesson shared at the right time can spare someone else from a costly mistake. The financial industry thrives in our silence. But when we speak up, when we learn from each other, we begin to tear down the carefully constructed illusions hiding these traps. And now, let's keep peeling back the truth. Let's talk about the sixth asset, an investment our previous generations often swore by: gold jewelry. Shiny, luxurious, but is it really worth the price you're paying? I used to think I was being smart by investing in gold, in the form of jewelry. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? It was the advice I heard growing up. Just buy gold, especially jewelry. It always holds its value. And I believed that for many years. But then, the truth came into focus like a spotlight shining directly on the numbers. Imagine spending $3,000 on a necklace. It looks magnificent, but only about $800 of that is actual gold. Yes, nearly 75% of what you paid isn't tied to the value of the metal itself, but to design fees, branding, craftsmanship, retail markup, and the jeweler's profit. I don't know about you, but to me, that felt like buying a brand new car, only to watch it lose 70% of its value the moment you drive off the lot. This isn't just my story. Susan, a friend from Dallas, once believed her gold jewelry collection, worth over $25,000 after 30 years, would be her safety net when she retired. But when the time came to sell, the best offer she got was $7,600. The buyers didn't care about how beautiful it was or where it came from. They only measured the weight of the raw gold. Nothing more, nothing less. Sound familiar? This is a hard lesson many only learn when it's too late. Jewelry isn't an investment asset. It's a luxury item, beautiful, meaningful, but not a vehicle for financial growth. If you truly want to invest in gold as a hedge against inflation or to diversify your financial portfolio, then act like a professional investor. Turn to trusted dealers like APMEX, JM Bullion, or the U.S. Mint, places certified by organizations like the National Futures Association or the Better Business Bureau. Avoid any websites offering gold at suspiciously low prices or lacking security certification. Those are almost always traps. Or, if you value convenience and transparency, consider gold ETFs like GLD or IU. You can buy and sell them as easily as any stock on major platforms like Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard. No storage hassle, and the fees are significantly lower than physical gold. I'm not denying it. Jewelry can hold emotional value. It's a memory, a story, a piece of who we are. But don't confuse sentiment with market value. If you're buying because you love it, because it's beautiful, then enjoy it fully. But if you're hoping it'll be a treasure that protects you in old age, then your trust is misplaced. We're living in an era where knowledge is power, and the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is a doorway to change. Don't let the silence of those before us lead you to repeat costly mistakes. Take a hard look at what you own. Is it jewelry? Or is it a well-dressed illusion of an investment? I once believed that my gold jewelry collection would be a golden parachute for old age, a financial safety net in the middle of a storm. But now I see that what we often consider precious assets can turn out to be nothing more than glittering illusions. And if you think the risk ends with gold and gemstones, wait until money gets tangled with family. That's when things get truly terrifying. The seventh asset I want you to think twice about before spending your money on: lending to family and friends. This often stems from kindness, from a generous heart. But finances don't always align with emotions. They need help. You have the means. So you say yes because you think good people help others. And that's how it begins. What starts as a loan gradually turns into an unspoken gift, accompanied by a haze of vague expectations. You expect them to pay it back. You expect them to be grateful. But there's no contract, no timeline, no clear repayment plan. Just a loose promise. Next month, I promise. Then months pass, then years, and that promise becomes a slow, silent crack in the relationship. Have you ever been in that situation? A sum you once gave out of love now anchors your thoughts in disappointment. According to a survey by Bankrate, 46% of people who loan money to loved ones ended up with one of two outcomes: lost money, lost relationships, or both. And the worst part? You can't sue them. You can't hire a lawyer. You can't call a debt collector. All you can do is sit with that frustration, quietly watching them buy a new iPhone, travel the world, while their debt to you remains untouched. Robert A. Jazzy's story is a textbook example. He loaned his brother-in-law $30,000 to start business. No contract, just a handshake. 5 years later, Robert had only received $2,000 back. The business collapsed. The brother-in-law filed for bankruptcy. The family stopped talking. The $28,000 loss came straight out of Robert's retirement savings, a sum he would never recover. But this doesn't mean you should never help your loved ones. You still can, but you need to do it right. If you truly want to give with no strings attached, say it clearly. I want to gift you this money, not loan it. That clarity will protect both sides from future resentment and heartache. And if you want to help but still maintain boundaries, set an agreement. As many experts recommend, say, I value this relationship too much to let money get between us. Then draft a clear document with specific repayment terms. You can use apps like Zero or Loan Builder, trusted by many American entrepreneurs, to track significant personal loans. Remember, kindness does not cancel out clarity. As Warren Buffett once said, good intentions are not enough. You also need good systems. And if you've already made the mistake of putting emotion over structure, don't beat yourself up. Treat it as a lesson, not a failure. What matters most is that you learn to protect both your heart and your finances the next time around. I used to believe that if a family member or close friend needed financial help, the right thing to do was to extend a hand, that it was simply what decent people do. And at first, my intentions were pure. They needed money. I could afford it, so I said sure. But what no one warned me about was this. The moment I agreed, the relationship quietly shifted. What I thought was a loan slowly turned into an unspoken gift. And it was that unspoken expectation that began to eat away at the bond we once had. There was no contract, no clear repayment schedule, no real plan. And every time we met, whether it was a birthday dinner or a casual family gathering, there was always this awkward tension hanging in the air. Have you ever felt that? Loaning someone money, hoping they'll repay it, and then month after month, year after year, all you get in return is silence? Bankrate's survey revealed that 46% of people who loan money to family or friends suffered financial loss, emotional strain, or both. And the painful truth is, you can't call a collection agency. All you can do is swallow your frustration, especially when you see them driving a new car or vacationing in luxury, while your loan remains unpaid and unmentioned. I still remember the story of Robert A. Jazzy, a businessman who lent his brother-in-law $30,000 to launch a startup, sealed only with a handshake. 5 years later, Robert got back just $2,000. The venture failed. His brother-in-law went bankrupt, and the entire family cut contact. Robert lost $28,000, a major chunk of his retirement savings. But what stung more wasn't just the money. It was the broken family ties that would never fully mend. Still, that doesn't mean we should turn cold or stop caring. The key is how we choose to help. If you truly want to support someone and can afford to give without expecting anything in return, say it plainly. I'm giving you this money. You don't need to pay me back. That one sentence could save the relationship from future tension and heartbreak. But if you plan to offer a real loan, say this. I care about you and I want to help, but I also value our relationship too much to let money damage it. Let's set up a clear agreement. You can use tools like Zero or Loan Builder to draft contracts with defined repayment timelines, especially if it's a large amount or tied to a business venture. In fact, instead of lending money, why not become an investor? Say, rather than loaning you money, I'd like to invest in your idea. If it succeeds, we both benefit. If it fails, no one owes anyone. That creates shared motivation, not a one-sided burden. Perhaps the biggest lesson today isn't about the numbers. It's about the power of awareness. Some assets may appear to be helping us move forward, but in truth, they quietly pull us back, silently, invisibly. Money can be lost and earned again, but trust, time, and broken relationships, those don't always heal. If you've ever been in a similar situation, lending money and losing a relationship, or making a poor investment simply because you didn't know how to protect yourself, remember this: you're not alone. We're here not just to tell stories, but to walk with you as you write a new chapter, one that is wiser, stronger, and filled with hope. Thank you for spending your time with us in this video. Your presence means the world to us. Share your story in the comments below, because maybe, just maybe, your experience could be the light someone else needs. And if you're facing something that's been weighing on your heart, don't hold back. Leave us a message. We'll create videos tailored just for you to help you rise again, one step at a time. If today's message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next story, the next lesson that might reach your heart at just the right moment. And remember, financial stability isn't about having more. It's about living with peace. See you in the next video, where we'll continue this journey of living deeply, living consciously, and living with purpose.